Today we are talking about how to create 5-figure months as a coach using Facebook groups. I have a special guest on today, Taylor Manning. I am so excited that she is here because so many of you are looking for new systems and strategies to use to really grow your online business. And Taylor is kind of the ninja of this. So if you don't know who she is, she's a marketing strategist for ambitious millennial coaches and service providers who are ready to say screw it to the traditional meaning of success and create mind-blowing results in their online business. She is all about teaching her clients how to build strategic businesses using funnels, Facebook ads, social media, and automation. And one of the biggest things that she loves to talk about is Facebook groups. So Taylor, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am super excited.
To just kind of give people a little background of who you are, I would love for you to share with us how you got started in the online space.
Oh, good question. So how I really got started was somehow I found a YouTube video about making money online.
Wait, really?
In college. And so of course I watched it and I was like, okay, I'll figure out a way to make money online, which wasn't my goal or anything. I just found this video and I tried a couple of things. I tried one of those weird survey sites. Where you get paid to take surveys, right? Never got paid. I tried tutoring, like online tutoring, which was interesting. And I learned about Upwork. And so I became a freelancer as well at the same time that day. And so fast forward like to year and a half, I graduated college. I decided to go full time with that. I didn't apply to any jobs, didn't use my degree, kind of said, screw it. And then 6 months or so, like 2 years total later, I found out about coaching and I hired my own coach. And that's kind of how this became a thing.
Oh my gosh, wait, so all in one day, you were just like, I think today I'm going to try to make money online. And you just like found it. You know, guys, that is the best lesson in just going all in. You make a decision, you just do it. Yeah. So now today you've got this massive Facebook group, this huge following, and you're just absolutely killing it. So what happened between the day that you started on Upwork and getting to this place now where you have all this tremendous success?
So it's kind of funny too, because the same day that I watched that video, I created my Upwork profile and I happened to get my first client on there too.
Oh,
yeah. And so things were moving pretty quickly and I was getting paid $7 an hour, less than minimum wage as like an online freelancer. I had no clue that I would have to pay taxes and stuff eventually and fees and all that crazy stuff. But basically my first like gig was to publish pre-written tweets into Hootsuite. I was like, yep, I've heard of that before. I never heard of it. But I was ambitious then. So anyway, I kind of grew that freelance business up to like $2,000, sometimes even $3,000 a month, which was awesome as a college student that had no bills and was living off of student loans. I was like a baller.
You're like, I got this, everyone.
Yeah, like I felt pretty rich, making $2,000 a month. But then I forget really how I stumbled across Facebook groups, but I did. And I started getting clients there as a doing done for you services. And I eventually transitioned fully into doing Facebook ads. And I kind of became the guru in that and got some really awesome clients that I learned a ton from in this like online world, especially like the Facebook group world. Like, I kind of felt like I was in. And basically November of 2015, I hired my first coach. And at that point, I had already started my list in my group, and we were both at about 300 people. And then fast forward a little bit to like literally, I think it was like Christmas time, or it was either Christmas or New Year's. It was one of those holidays. And that's when I grew my group by 1,000 people in 48 hours, which I have the strategy for it that we'll talk about, but it was unexpected. And that was kind of like the moment where I was like, okay,
I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
Wait, and the crazy part about all of this is that you did all of this before you were like 21? Mm-hmm. Or like at 21?
I was 20 at the time.
Oh my God.
I'm 21 now, not for much longer, but I'm 21 now.
Well, I love it. I started my online business at about 21. So, you know, holding down the 20s. So yeah. I have so much respect for that you just were like, and I love that you talk about your age and just own it. And I've seen a lot of your posts about just being like, yeah, I'm just a boss, everyone. Sorry, not going to apologize for it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny too, because right after my Facebook group growth happened, I got my first like real photo shoot. At the time I was using like my college graduation photos as my business photos.
Oh my God, I love it.
So to my first photographer, I was telling her like, nobody knows my age. Like I need to look older. I need to look mature. I need to look like I have my stuff together and like somebody that you would trust to pay a lot of money to. Like,
yeah.
Literally when I told her, and like my age was like, I made the commitment that it would be a secret, but I wouldn't lie about it. Like if I was honest, I would tell people the truth, but I was hoping nobody would find out that I was only 20, because I was like, there's no way. So putting my age out there was definitely scary, but now it's kind of silly because it's like, oh.
Now you're just like, wait, this is like my greatest asset.
Yeah, exactly.
I am this prodigy. Facebook ad prodigy. Okay, cool. So in 48 hours, you were able to grow your Facebook group by 1,000 people. And this is like pretty recent, which I find really exciting because my business partner and I, we've also grown our Facebook group and had so much success within that. And I think it's cool because there's a lot of strategies that are out there, but this is one that is working today and working really freaking well. And I think, we kind of got on at the beginning of the wave, but the wave is still there. So guys, if you haven't started a Facebook group yet, Taylor's going to break this down for you today. And as soon as you get off of this, you need to go and start implementing some of these things. Yeah. So obviously today there's like a bazillion Facebook groups. So for a new online coach, how do they create one that stands out? What is the first step?
So your group, here's the thing. I think for it to stand out, it needs to be different. And I know that's like a really obvious answer, but
it's not though, because people just do the same cookie cutter stuff in like every group right now.
We see these other groups and it's like, okay, all these groups are working amazing, and seems like that's the other thing. Don't make assumptions of what is working for other people. Just because they have 1,000 members in their group doesn't mean a lot. But that's what I see a lot of is, just search women entrepreneurs and there's probably like a million groups with like just called that. But for that person, and that's what I did in the beginning too, was like my group was for any woman entrepreneur out there. Like it was just for anybody and everybody. And the name was really vague too. So it was called the Creative Corner, which is a long story, but it meant nothing.
Wait, so what made you choose that name? Because there's a lot of ladies that Angie and I work with, and I always tell them, I'm like, don't necessarily try to be cute and clever, make it really clear what that is. So, what made you choose the Creative Corner? Because that was kind of what your whole brand was built around, right?
Yeah, because when I decided to create my website, which was actually a project I had to do in one of my classes, plus I had just started freelancing, so it was like perfect, 2 in 1. But I was looking for domains.
2 in 1.
Yeah, like yes. I was searching for domains on GoDaddy, like we all do, for hours and hours in the beginning. And TaylorManning.com was taken. Like I was like, I'm just gonna keep it simple. Taylor Manning, good. I did not want to get creative. Like that's not what I'm good at. But it was taken. Yeah. And so I was just talking to some of my friends about it in college, and they're like, oh, go with creative. Use that word because like that will go with you anywhere, like whatever you do. And I'm like, okay, good point. So now still my domain is TaylorManningCreative.com. So that was just like, I just got stuck with it. So when I created my Facebook group, I was like, okay, what, like, I don't even remember like what made me think I had to get creative with it, but I had that word creative in my domain. And I was like, I could, even though that means nothing to me and I just kind of got stuck with it, I'll turn that into my entire business and brand. Like, genius. So I spent like a ton of time Googling domains, even though you don't need a domain for your Facebook group. But I did. I was like, creativecorner.com, is that open? Because one day maybe that will be my website. Like I had big plans for it.
Wow, you went all in. You doubled down on this creative thing.
Yeah. So I just went with that. And literally like, I don't even resonate. Like I know creative entrepreneurs, kind of like some people's target market. Like I didn't even resonate with that. I don't really consider myself that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of stupid.
No, but this is so good because a lot of people, they are like, they'll come up with these names and it's like, I want to be called Fierce Mama Fitness, and they double down on it. They make it where to find them everywhere. And then a week later, they're like, actually, I don't want to do fitness. And they have to like rebrand their entire thing. So, and that's happened to me before as well. So I'm glad you're saying this because a lot of newbies, they want to come up with this like cool brand name and like, it's going to be fun and different. And sometimes just using your name is so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. And that is definitely my two big tips for like how to create a group that stand out. Create a name that's obvious of who it's for. I think that makes it so much easier for people to just find your group and join it. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you see a group that says Creative Corner, even though so many people have been like, oh, I love that name, but you have to kind of like take a couple guesses on who it might be for. And the fact is, not many people take the time to read your description and see if they're a right fit, like before they press join. They're just going to join it and you're going to get
And
a ton
then
of
figure it
people.
out.
Yeah, you're either going to get no people or a ton of people that just don't fit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the name. I think now the name of my group is Ambitious Millennial Entrepreneurs, and that's the purpose of it. So give it the specific name, give it the specific purpose. So don't make it just for women entrepreneurs, or just like you and Angie do that really well with your group. You kind of define that social media, sales, and I forget, health coaches or whatever word you guys use.
Yeah. We actually changed it. We shortened it. We shortened it to Health Coaches Make Bank, because it's just like, boom,
Perfect.
right to the point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Every time on video, we'd be like, join our thing. Social media health coaches go from social media sales. And we're like, you know, it's kind of our fault. Yeah. So we're like, let's just shorten it up. So shortening it up, making it more clear. Absolutely. We're all about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Super funny. Yeah. So talk to us about how you were able to then start to grow your Facebook group, because you grew it even when you had the Creative Corner.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more exceptional.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, like I think what really helped me, even though my focus wasn't super solid and I was a little like just very vague with who I was going to serve, and really not even putting myself out there a lot, I just kind of became like this knowledge bank. Like I was blogging a lot, not really doing video, but definitely a ton of blogging, and I had a ton of opt-ins, which I don't suggest doing this strategy, but I did the strategy of like write a blog post, make an opt-in, write a blog post, make an opt-in, and like
For every single one?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that, and then when you opted in, you got sent to my group. So the thing is when you're just more specific and you show people your purpose and that you can help them, you don't have to put so much work into like all that content that you're like manually trying to design and write out all on your own. So that's how I grew at the beginning. But then on the topic of like giving knowledge and giving value, how I actually grew it by 1,000 people in 2 days. I created this, and this is the interesting piece of this, is basically the strategy is I created a freebie and I put it out there in a bunch of Facebook groups as like a ladder post where I had people comment if they were interested. The post was super juicy, and when people comment, it like bumps it back up. And then I was just over the email list thing, so I sent everyone to my group. But the thing about that freebie that I gave them was I was creating that for myself, because I was getting all these clients in the Facebook groups. And literally my post was like, I made $8,000 in Facebook groups, but it can get really hectic. So I made the spreadsheet for you to help you. But the truth was, I was literally like, I've got to get my stuff together and like organize my posts. So I made it for myself, and then I put it out there. So I think that's what made it even more helpful, was like, it was literally something I hadn't actually used it yet, but I was going
you were solving your own problem. Like you saw that there was a need for it just in your own business. Yeah. That's so smart. So for people who maybe don't know, can you explain what like one of those posts might look like?
Mm-hmm. So basically you want to show people, basically what my post was like headline, I made $8,000 in Facebook groups. And then I explained the problem I was solving, what I created. And then what makes it a ladder post, that's just what people call it, is by saying like comment, blah, 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 blah. I said, comment, give me that spreadsheet below and I'll send it to you. So literally in these groups, I had hundreds of people commenting, give me that spreadsheet, give me that spreadsheet. And then basically you kind of have to handle it from there. You got to message them all, reply to them all, and send them to it. So it's a lot of extra work, but if you're just starting out, and you know, at the time I wasn't using Facebook ads or anything in my own business. So it was nice. I mean, 1,000 people.
That's a great,
awesome. It was worth it.
To build that momentum is amazing. So for a lot of people, they like to know the really nitty gritty stuff. So when people they were like, yes, give me that spreadsheet. Did you post your group underneath as a reply? Did you privately inbox like hundreds of people and say, hey, the spreadsheet's actually in my Facebook group. Come join us here.
So I actually, some people get so confused by this because I just replied to their comments.
Yeah.
And the fact is, people still kept commenting, even though it was right there in the comments. So
they don't see it. Yeah.
They don't. So that's what I did. I just replied to the comment and I sent them to the group, and I just posted, actually what I did, which was a mistake, but again, nobody reads the description really, unless they're
Yeah.
in the group trying not to break the rules and not get kicked out. I
Mhm.
put the freebie right in the description. So I was like, go join my group. It's in the description. Nobody realized that they could have just gotten it without joining, including me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, because they could have just like clicked on the description of it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That would be public, right? Oh my gosh, that is really funny. So then once they join it, they're able to get it. And then what did you see in terms of the engagement inside your group? Were those mostly like targeted people who became clients?
So a lot of my clients now and people in my group programs and just like that are still really active in my group. It's so funny because this happened a little over a year ago, actually, this big growth. They'll tell me like, I found you from that spreadsheet.
Wow.
And I still get people who will join my group and be like, Taylor, I heard about your spreadsheet and I deleted it because I don't know why. I'm just that person.
Yeah.
I am like OCD. I have to like throw everything away and delete everything on my computer. So it's gone, but people still ask for it. And like, I don't know how they know about it, but people are still asking for it. And a lot of the people that have recently hired me as their coach or in my group programs, like they found me from that spreadsheet. So here's the thing though, is when that first happened, I hadn't had my first coaching client yet. And I signed one client per month for 3 months, and then things kind of picked up after that. But that's the thing is like, I didn't have like 1,000 people hire me right away. So that is kind of interesting to add in, is there is more work that you have to do besides getting people there.
Absolutely. Now I want to get into that and how you kind of built your trust with your audience and the content, but just to jump back really quickly, in terms of Facebook groups, in terms of doing those ladder posts, do you think that those still work today? Because I know in a lot of groups, people allow promotion and others are very strict about not sharing promotions, not posting your group. So is there a way to still use that strategy in a non-spammy way? What would be your advice on that?
So I think some Facebook groups you can still get away with it.
Yeah.
Some groups are meant these days for promotion. And so if your post really stands out, you can have success with it. But one thing that just happened to one of my clients recently, who's still kind of doing the Facebook group thing, she's in groups all the time, right? Just kind of networking, I guess we could say, posting, engaging with people. And if anybody watching this has done that, and probably you and you get a ton of friend requests when you do that.
Oh yeah.
And I accept them and I add them to a separate friends list. And that's what my client has been doing too. So she tested out doing the ladder post on her personal page and it did really good. So interesting, if you are one of those people that has just been building engagement and visibility, and you do know that you get a ton of friend requests, that's a good way to kind of get them into your list or your group. And then really, I mean, okay, maybe Facebook wouldn't be very happy about that, but you're not breaking any group leaders' rules.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what's so cool about doing the ladder posts, even though some people don't like them, some people are like, oh, it's rude, but honestly, it's social proof. So for you guys who are putting those out there, no one wants to feel like they're the only one who didn't get Taylor's cool strategy. Exactly. I'm going to be behind. I'm not going to know how to create content in my group and look at these hundreds of other people who are going to know how. So there's something to the psychology of that for sure.
No, totally. I think that's a big part of it. Is like once 10 people comment, another 10 are commenting because they just want to see it. And then once, like, I literally had posts that had like 500 comments on it. It was ridiculous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And in those groups, do you see that a lot of other people get a ton of engagement, or was it just that your stuff is, because I know you're a great copywriter and know how to just find those juicy titles. So
a lot of my clients have kind of repeated the cycle or the system.
Strategy.
But it has to be juicy too. Like if you just go in there, and I know you and Angie kind of give a lot of knowledge on this, but like if you just go in there and say like, oh, I made a 3-day diet plan, like people probably aren't going to like fight it over it. Like, it has to stand out and really show that big benefit. And that's why I wanted to share that freebie was something I was actually made for myself. So it was real life, you know?
Absolutely. So in terms of the content, I know a question that we get a lot as well from our crew is, how do you create content for your group and how do you structure it? And do you post on your like page and your personal page? And so I would love to hear how you structure out your content, because I think you do things slightly differently than we do, and there's no one right way to do it. So I think this is great.
Oddly enough, and this is shifting a little bit as my business grows, but as far as content and what I sell and when I sell it, I kind of go from like a very like intuitive way with it, which is like, I'm not even intuitive really, but like I don't resonate with that at all. But that's the best way I've been able to explain it. So with my content, I don't do, and I've tried it, it just doesn't work well for me. So I don't sit down on Sundays and batch a ton of content. I do have my assistant who helps me repurpose stuff on Instagram and other platforms. But as far as Facebook, I just kind of set like I call them my minimums, but kind of like my goals, but I call them my minimums. Like I post at least once a day in my group. And then I try to at least, I should say, I try to at least live stream once a day, but I probably live stream like 3 or 4 times a week.
And that's directly into the group.
Into my group tip. I'm moving it to my business page now because I
you are okay.
benefit of it, but still some in the group because I think it's nice to have it a little exclusive. But for my business page, a lot of that is just like move from my group to the business page later by my assistant or by myself. And same with like my email newsletters, we'll just call them. I will email my list like 2 or 3 times a week, usually like 3. And I'll just copy, paste that into Facebook, edit it a little bit and post that. So like I'm all about repurposing. So really for me, it's like 1 or 2 pieces of content a day, get it done, have my VA or myself move it all around everywhere else, and I'm good to go.
And you're good to go. That's pretty much how we do things as well. So you were saying with your video, you'll live stream it either onto your like page or into the Facebook group, save it, and then re-upload it to one of the other places. Is that right?
With the videos, I'll be honest, I haven't really done that a lot yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Posts. So anything that gets written in my group, not anything, because I get really vulnerable and like personal in my group sometimes, but any of like the content about marketing and like my actual expertise, not too like personal and awkward, but I'll post that like publicly on my business page, on my Instagram. We might turn it into a blog or into an email, but a lot of my emails get turned into posts. So it's kind of just a cycle.
I think that's the best way to do it. And I know a lot of newbies get really worried about boring their audience with the same content over and over again. What is your take on that?
I just think, I don't know. I don't really think that it does that. I mean, if someone's like hardcore following you on every single platform, like you're really doing something right. Like, it's like we kind of decide, like, I would prefer to follow you. Maybe I just prefer to follow you on Instagram and I prefer to follow Angie on Facebook. Like I kind of just pick my favorites for who I follow. And even though I might see you guys on both and see the same thing, I actually think it is kind of like, if we see something once, it's like, okay, let's say Angie did a podcast. It's like, okay, Angie did a podcast. Awesome. But then if I see it on Instagram too, and her Instagram story, and then maybe I got an email about it, I'm like, fine, I'll listen to it. Like,
you're like, all right, you got me.
So I think it's kind of like poking them a little bit and actually getting them to take action. I know that happens to me with the people that I follow.
Oh, absolutely. I could say it's the same. And I think it's so true what you said, that you sometimes choose the platform that you prefer to follow people on. Like I've been really into watching certain people's Instagram stories. Like I see yours, I see Angie's, there's a couple of people, and I don't necessarily watch all of them or listen to podcasts on all the other platforms, but there's something really nice about that. It's quick, it's easy. And then there might be someone else who only consumes the live video content. So I think that's an important thing to remember, that you know, the more that you can solidify your messaging, the better. Because like Taylor's saying, you're kind of poking them like, you know, you want to see it, you know, you want to come watch it. And eventually they're like, all right, fine. Yeah. And they're going to love it. So don't be afraid to give too much of the same thing in too many places. And we always say, like, if you are really sick of talking about whatever you're talking about, it's probably a good thing. Because your audience is not following you everywhere. They're not listening and reading to every single post. So I think that's really, really key. So I know that you're like kind of a selling ninja. You sell like a boss and make crazy money. And I think that's super cool. So tell us how someone should go about selling in their Facebook group. I work with a lot of network marketers and just a lot of health coaches overall. But one of the biggest things is like, how do I post about my products? Or like, how do I talk about sales without being spammy?
It's always about, you just have to think about the customer, right? And so I kind of follow a strategy or an approach where like, I like to create a lot of new programs and like, I just push stuff out like how I feel like it. Like I was kind of mentioning kind of like with my content. Yeah. But the fact is I'm always thinking about what people need and I'm always asking. So one thing I teach a lot of is I do a lot of polls in my group. So I might do a poll in my group if I want to do like an intensive, like let's say a group intensive, I might give some options for what would you want the topic to be of a group intensive, make them super juicy. And then whatever gets the most votes, as long as it feels good to me, I'll go with that. So I've already proven that they really want it. Then I'll reach out to all the people who voted and give them first dibs, like a special chance with it, because they said they want it, and I'll remind them that, but very like gently, like, hey, thank you so much for voting on my poll. You said that you would most be interested in a group intensive on this topic, and if you are interested, good news, I'm doing it. Let me know if you want more info, and just kind of leave it at that, you know? Because then they'd be like, no, I just wanted to help you out and vote. Or they'd be like, yeah, I need that. You know?
Sign me up. Wait, this is super brilliant. And it's so simple. And I always see, you know, like you said, you're always posting different offers and creating different things. And I think this is so important because, God, so many people overcomplicate the crap out of how to make money online.
Yeah.
What is your kind of strategy behind that? Like, you're essentially just like, what do you put out there, I guess is the question. Is it video content? Is it like mini trainings, webinars? What are you selling?
What am I selling? What types of products?
Yeah. So if somebody says, oh, I like this title, what is?
Yeah, I do. So I do a lot of coaching. So obviously what's really cool about me selling so many different programs and always kind of mixing it up is I just filter one-on-one clients from that, right? So I don't really have to promote that a lot, but I've sold a ton of different stuff, like mini group programs, like boot camps, full like VIP days or long intensives for the whole day, shorter private intensives, like maybe like 3 hours or even 90 minutes. One thing that I've done a few times is like group intensive. So my like go-to is like a 4-hour group intensive with like 5 or 6 ladies on a certain topic. And so we just go really intense on a topic and they all get to mastermind on it and implement together. And I do a lot of paid trainings too. So like maybe $100 for like basically paid webinar.
Yeah.
Without like all of the before of like pitching or not pitching, going into my story and going into like what they want and all that. And then pitching at the end, it's like actually like an hour of content.
Like no fluff, right to the juice.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll usually kind of think like, okay, I feel like kind of selling this type of thing because you'll learn. Like I've really been able to learn like, okay, if I want to fill out a group intensive, that's going to take me about at least a week and a half, if not 2 weeks. If I'm going to sell a training, I really only need a few days to do that. So based on like how the month's going, how I'm feeling, I'll decide what I want to sell. And then I ask them like, would you be interested in this? What would you want to take away from it? And then just give them that.
I love it. How long should somebody wait? Like say they just started their Facebook group. How long should they wait to start pitching lightly inside their group?
I don't think you need to wait at all, really.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you have one person in your group, it might be a little bit weird. So maybe, maybe wait like until you get like 100 people, which really only needs to take you 1 day if you really like push it hardcore and reach out to a lot of people. Or just do a couple good posts in a couple of groups or run some ads. Like, but after that, like once you have a decent audience, which could be even under 100 people, I say start telling them what you have to offer, especially because if you're not selling how to grow your Facebook group to 1,000 people, then it doesn't really matter that you only have 50 or 100 people in your group. Like that's the only time that it would matter, because then people are gonna be like, it doesn't add up. But if you're a health coach and you have 100 people in your group, I think some people are worried about like selling too soon. Like maybe there's not enough people to buy, or maybe they're not good enough to sell yet because their group's small. And it's like, you're not selling anything related to that. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is such a good point. Unless you're a business coach and your thing is Facebook groups, you don't need to worry about this.
Yeah. And if, let's say you're a health coach and you're helping people lose weight, it's like, do they really want to wait until you have 1,000 people in your group to lose weight, or do they want to lose weight now? Like, are you going to help them now or when you get 1,000 people? Like,
exactly. No, that's so true. And I love that you're saying that. You're just breaking it down. It's like, I hope you guys are all hearing this and realizing that making money is not that hard. You all, every single one of you listening, you have some kind of piece of content that you probably already have mapped out or created that you could literally package and sell by tomorrow. I'm not even kidding. You guys do not need to wait to put these things out there and start making some side income. I think people just make it so much more difficult than it needs to be. So I'm so glad you're kind of breaking this down a little bit. And I know one question a lot of people ask is like, okay, well, okay, I made this product. Like, now what do I do? How do I sell it? So what would be the next step for that person?
So that's why I like the strategy of putting the poll out there, or putting like a would you be interested post, because that can get you some leads right away. And so sometimes I'll share about like how I sell before I even launch anything. That's what I'm talking about. But after that, you really just need to be posting about it and talking about it. And so strategy for that is always lead with, I do two things: lead with value, or sounds weird, but like lead with the pain. Like remind them of what is sucking. So they're like,
oh, 100%.
So that's kind of how you would put it out there. But one thing I think a lot of people don't realize, and I don't want to make it sound like it's hard and you have to hustle really hard and you have to post, but one post is not going to do it. Like my first post for something hardly ever makes a sale. My first email hardly ever makes a sale. I mean, unless it's maybe like a $20 thing, but like your first few posts and maybe even your first few videos on it, I found personally, is just kind of getting people like thinking about it. I always have my clients like map out their buying process and like think about it. Cause it's like, even when you start thinking like, oh man, I really need a new pair of boots, right? Like maybe winter's going, it's like, oh, I need a new pair of boots. And then you like put it off, and then you're like walking past a pair that's perfect. You're like, oh, okay, maybe next time. And then you go back to the store. Like even little things like that, it's like we wait until the last minute, or we just spend so much time kind of just thinking about the fact that we need it and pondering if we should buy it from that person or that store. Like that's what your people are going through. Like I always say, like, give them a break, like understand where they're coming from. So, and really when I say give them a break, I mean, push it out there more, like remind them.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. You're not going to be pushy. If you're giving them something that they need, that's kind of the beautiful thing about sales. I'm sure you could touch on this too, that a lot of people are afraid to sell because they feel icky or slimy if they've never really sold anything before. But at the end of the day, if you are providing somebody with something they need and you're solving a problem, like Taylor was talking about her spreadsheet, she wasn't selling it, but people were like, oh my gosh, this solves my problem. I need it. So I think it's important to reframe the way that you approach selling so that it doesn't feel gross. Do you find that a lot of people get freaked out by that? When you tell them like, you're like, guys, you must post this more than once.
Yeah, because you don't want to be pushy. I've even heard some of my past clients or people have brought this up to me, like, if I keep posting about it, like weeks later, is everyone going to know that it hasn't sold yet? It's like, nobody's thinking about that. Like,
no one is thinking about that, literally.
Nobody knows too. So if you're selling your first product or you're really just picking up momentum in your business, nobody cares that your last post didn't sell everything out. Like, and that's the thing is, I realize if I see you posting about it all day today and all throughout the week, like, I'm not going to think anything bad because I'm right there with you. Like, I get it. Like, it's normal. Like, so I think you just kind of have to realize, like, this is kind of what it takes and nobody's thinking anything about it except for you, and stop overcomplicating it.
You are in your own bubble of like, you're living, eating, breathing, sleeping this idea and this concept. So 100%, it's so much more in your face for you. Other people, like, they're busy. They're not looking and reading every single one of your posts going like, wow, I can't believe Taylor posted that again.
Yeah,
like, no one's thinking that. The only thing where I would say maybe that would apply is if you're creating some kind of fake urgency and saying like, we've got one spot left, even though you haven't sold anything. Don't do that.
Or when you do, that's why, like, if you want to set a date or something for things to end, especially in the beginning of your business, maybe be careful about that. But then it's kind of awkward if you go back on it. So you're like, it ends right now. Like, it's your last chance. And then like 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, actually it's back. Like,
JK.
I decided to open it back up. Then people might be thinking something about it. But other than that,
yeah, that's actually a big thing. And I just did a podcast on that the other day about like creating fake urgency and how that can actually be really detrimental to your business because people don't trust you if you're going back on your word like that. So that's something to be really careful about, guys. I know that urgency is really important in kind of getting the sale, but do it in a way that's not icky, and then it won't feel icky.
Yeah. And the thing is too, that I tell my clients when it comes to being a coach is that you really can only take on so many coaching clients. Like even if you wanted to work 40 hours a week, you would not have 40 clients. Like maybe you'd have 10, right? Like I think some people don't really think about the fact that your ability to take on private clients is actually really limited. So I always have my clients figure out like, how many clients do you want total? How many do you have now? Like how many more can you take on this month? And then that is your real urgency. If it's 5, that's only 5 spots. Only 5 people get to sign on with you. And that's my opinion, is that is true urgency. But when you're like, 3 clients, like I'm just taking on 3 clients, you just make it up.
Yeah.
No. And it brings a different energy to it too, to be honest.
That's so true. And I think a lot of people, they'll think, oh, I'm going to take on 40 clients because I have 40 hours a week to work. But that's, first of all, you'd be dead. You'd be so burnt out and exhausted. And you would also have no time to do anything else. So unless you have a massive team and want to spend your entire day doing behind the scenes one-on-one coaching, you're not going to take on that many people. So you may see people who are like, I'm sold out, I'm booked out. It doesn't mean they're working 40 hours a week with one-on-one clients. It just means they only have a certain amount of space and that's all they're taking on. So I think that's such a good point.
You get to pick what your sold out is and what your maximum load of clients is.
Absolutely. So now with live video, I know you've been really big in using that inside your Facebook groups. And I totally feel like Facebook groups have just changed the way that or live video has changed the way that Facebook groups are run and are growing. So what are some of your best engagement tips for using live video in Facebook groups?
So I just like to go live I think people just like to listen to when they like you, when they want to follow you. There's just something about watching that person on video that, as we know, like everyone says this, like builds a lot of trust. It's been faster and sell better and all of that. But I know that the handful of people I really like to follow, like I'll go to their group or to their page wherever I know they live stream and I'll check in for their live stream, as sad as that sounds. But I know people do that for me too.
Yeah.
Where it's like they'll go to my group just to find my live stream. So as far as engagement goes, I think the biggest tip for engagement is that you have to be consistent. Because if someone just sees like, oh wow, Taylor live streamed for the first time in 6 months and she doesn't live stream super consistently, they might watch that live stream, but they're not going to be looking for it and looking forward to it. So the more consistent that you can get, which is even a struggle for me, but I don't go weeks without live streaming. Like I might go a couple of days, or sometimes I'll get on and be like, oh my gosh, it feels like it's been forever. And people are like, no, you live streamed yesterday. Like, oh, I'm good.
You're like, oh, okay, never mind.
But I think consistency is the biggest thing for engagement. Because I guess the second tip is like, give good content and share your story. But I think that's obvious. So you have to do that consistently, and I think the engagement will happen.
Totally. Now, I know one thing that a lot of people ask is like, how much do you give away for free? And how much do you keep for your private coaching clients or for your private training? So do you have any kind of like rule of thumb that you kind of that guides you in that?
For me, and I see some entrepreneurs and business owners doing this a little bit differently, where it's like, these strategies are for my clients, but I'll teach you why they're important. I teach a lot of people, when you want to sell, if you're in a launch, it's good to talk more about like why they need this, why this is the way to go, like that kind of thing. But as far as my day-to-day content, I don't really hold anything back. Like I'm trying to think like, I kind of give it all. But the thing is, with content, it's not organized perfectly for the person. And I might be sharing something that you don't even need to hear right now. And honestly, like even with the interview, like you might hear something today and go do it, but you might not really be ready for it. Or now you might be, your whole to-do list that your coach gave you or that you actually should be doing is like pushed to the side. Like I think you have to define what's the value in someone hiring you. And for me, it's that I will guide them into what steps to take in what order and hold them accountable. And for me as a marketing strategist, like I actually will look at your stuff, make sure that your copy is actually good and will convert. Whereas my content, I'm not going to be like auditing your content. Right. So define the value. Maybe there are some things that are secret, client only, but I don't think that you need it. And I don't think that for a lot of us, it's not that way.
Absolutely. And I think that's why, we kind of jumped into the Facebook group stuff around a similar time. And I think we both kind of align with that, where it's just like, give away some of your best stuff, especially in the beginning. That's how you build that know, like, and trust. So I respect the crap out of the people that actually do that. And it's like, I check in on your lives and stuff. Like I follow certain people who are actually providing value for their tribe. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to ask you too, I know that you're a Facebook ads ninja as well. And you were saying earlier that you didn't really use Facebook ads when you were first starting your business. What has changed, or have you seen that any changes in the way that you're able to get hot leads right from your group versus using Facebook ads? What's kind of evolving with that?
Well, I think for me, the reason I didn't use Facebook ads in the beginning, even though right before I transitioned, like I was doing Facebook ads for some really awesome people and I knew they worked. And I think a lot of people don't use Facebook ads. They just don't trust the ROI coming back. I mean, I guess that was technically the issue, but for me, it was like, I just wasn't even at that point where I was just so unwilling to invest too much money. Like I was scared. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Whereas now, spending money to get my visibility and to get people on my list is the way to go for me right now versus posting in Facebook groups.
There's a lot of like strategists or business coaches that will teach people who maybe don't have an audience yet, who are just getting started, to really focus on list building and sales. But I'm curious, because I know we started to realize as well with our program launch of the Wellpreneur Business Academy, after we did it, we were like, wait, we got almost every single person that signed up was in our group. And that was why they signed up, because they were connected to us there. So that's almost becoming like the new list.
Yeah, no, I know. And there's so many people that are saying the opposite about Facebook groups, that they're dying and they are not selling your list and your funnel will. But that's true for me too. I think the problem with the Facebook ads and the list sometimes is that it's not impossible. I mean, it kind of seems impossible to be as engaging and as personal on your list as you are in your group. You can email your list multiple times a day if you want, but that gets annoying for people. Whereas if I posted in my group 5 times today, people would be like ecstatic about it. Like they would not be annoyed. Maybe some people who don't really know me would be annoyed and like, what is she doing? I don't care what she has to say. But most people in my group would be excited if I did that today. And I think that also showing up on the video, actually having conversations with them, I think the video is a huge part of it. I think people just being able to see you talk and like hear what you're teaching, and kind of, especially if you're a coach, they kind of see how, even though you're not coaching, it's almost like they kind of get to experience.
They get a feel for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've seen that too, where my group, like I can make sales. Sometimes for the stuff I launch, I just launch it in my group. So it's like, it's not going to be worth it to email my list. Or maybe I'll send 1 or 2 emails to my list and then spend the next 2 weeks in my group. Cause like that is pretty often where a majority of those sales come from. With me though, I try to get as many people from my Facebook ads into my group for that reason. So I do think that technically, even though I don't run Facebook ads to my group, my Facebook ads build my group at this point.
Okay. How do you have, I guess, like on your thank you page, a redirect like, thanks, your freemium's coming, join my group?
Yeah. So what's cool about, I guess this is for any business, my messaging right now is like so clear on the millennial thing. And so I pretty much sprinkle my Facebook group into my first like few emails of like my funnel a ton. So it's really hard to resist. And I also, now that I'm thinking about ways to get people in my group, I also am doing a lot of that in Instagram stories and Instagram in general. Like all of my Instagram efforts have pretty much been put to like building my group.
Wow.
It's hard to tell like how many people like directly come from that. But
right. Especially when you have it going in multiple places and then people are seeing it in the suggested box. It's a little bit difficult to measure for sure, but still that's so fascinating. And your group is just continuing to grow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Is. So what do you do if you get people who you're like, okay, this is clearly not someone who's a millennial, or this is some rando person? A lot of people are like, I don't know, should I accept everyone in my group?
Yeah. It's kind of an awkward question because when I first had my group, The Creative Corner, there was and there's still no age restrictions really. But there's a lot of people that aren't millennials in my group right now, and I'm fine with that. And I still have a lot of clients that aren't. But now I've had to like put on the big girl pants and be tough about it. And like all my Facebook ads are going to actually even more specific 20-somethings right now, because that's where like my mission and like that's really what lights me up, right? Not that I'm like, nope, I'm not working with anyone who's 30 or older. Like, no, it's just I really like want to find those like ambitious 20-somethings. But Yeah, recently my VA already knew, like, anybody who seems like, you know, not like they don't speak English, don't accept them. Anyone who's a man, we don't accept. There are some guys in my group, but they're like people that like will beg me to get in or that I personally know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a solid rule, but most of them, no need.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I had to recently tell her, like, if somebody is obviously not a millennial, we're not going to accept them for a little bit and we'll see how that goes. So
Yeah.
that's a secret. No, I'm just kidding. That we're trying, but it is hard. Like, even I feel kind of bad about that. Like, oh great, everyone who's like not a millennial is going to hate me right now, but I'm trying to build a community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like somewhere where the millennials, and like, that's the reason I'm doing this, is because I felt like everyone who seemed successful, at least when I was in the trenches, seemed so much older.
Yep.
So now I'm trying to like build that for people. So I've got to be tough about it.
No, I think that's so true, because I started when I was 21 and I was like, all right, when I'm 25, people will take me seriously. You know, that was like my thing. And then I started to realize like, oh no, I still look like I'm 18. So that strategy didn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
So yeah, I think it's so great that you're creating this millennial space for people where they can actually feel like, hey, look what Taylor did. I can be successful too. And my age has nothing to do with it. I think that's so important. And Angie and I, we're both still in our 20s. So we're very, very passionate as well about helping kind of the younger ladies too, the younger health coaches really get their footing down, because it's like, it doesn't matter how old you are. And this goes the same. We work with some ladies who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s who are, you know, killing it, who are just getting started. It's like age, it does not matter. So I think that's so cool. So for you, I have to ask, because I think all the strategy stuff is amazing and you're kind of the strategy ninja. If you were to start your business over today, what would be like the first 3 things that you would do?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think you have to have people seeing you. So I would still do the Facebook group thing, and I would I would probably do what I'm doing now then. I don't know. Do I know what I know now or not?
You do. Yeah, you do. Yeah. Like knowing what you know today, and like if tomorrow you were like, or let's say Facebook, worst case scenario, everything gets wiped away and you have to start from scratch. Like, what would you do?
I would have 100% owned who I was and not been afraid to share my age or anything else, and created a community around that. And really, because I wish I would have known, like, people don't hire me because I'm the best business coach or the best marketing strategist, whatever you want to call me, out there. They actually hire me because I'm pretty good, I have good testimonials, and they love me. Like, that's the important piece. Like, it's important that you're good at what you do and you're honest, but it's really important that they connect with you. So I would definitely just totally own that and build my community around that. That's kind of to put out a lot of content.
Yeah.
I think that's like it. Like,
it's just like attraction marketing.
Yeah.
Putting out stuff, getting on live. I love it. Yeah. So what is next for you? What are you working on now?
So now I'm working on scaling my business. I just launched my first like real big group program in January, and the launch was amazing. The program has been amazing. So relaunching that or something similar in June, and just focusing on adding some courses in, some smaller ways for people to work with me, and really scaling up the group programs and making that a way to like help more people at once.
Amazing. And where can people go and learn more about you and come and hang out with you?
Yeah, so the best place to find me, and this is another way I grow my group, is that's where I'm at the most. So you can just type in the search bar, facebook.com/groups/Taylor Manning.
And you also just launched a podcast.
Yeah, I'm doing Entrepreneurs Under 30. That's the name for now. And it's been super fun. Yeah, interviewing all these 20-something entrepreneurs and hearing their story, and
So for those of you millennials, go and check out Taylor's group. She puts out so much amazing content, gives away, oh God, so much value. So go in there, check it out. So Taylor, do you have any last words of wisdom?
Just go for it.
Yes, I love it. Go for it, guys. The time is now. Jump in, take messy action, make it happen. Awesome. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing so much juicy value with the Entrepreneur Now listeners. I so appreciate you and what you do for the world and all of our fellow entrepreneurs.
Aw, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Awesome. Bye, guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Taylor.
Bye.